Good morning, everyone that are tuned in.
Good morning.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. We want to wish you an amazing Easter.
Yes.
Yeah.
This morning we got up, we got ready,
Yep.
and
Yep.
we are looking forward to today's program.
Yes, we are very excited
Yep.
to be here today with you.
Absolutely. I love doing these things together, and
Yeah.
we just want to make a few shout-outs as people are logging in and
Yes.
hooking up and making sure we just want to just thank you again for allowing us the privilege to come into your home
Yes.
and being a part of this whole
Yes.
interesting dynamic that we're facing. And
Yes.
we've talked about this before, how
Yeah.
pretty cool it is how our technology works, and
Yeah.
and how we can come and we can beam all around the world. And I've seen more things this time around than we can accomplish and do than we
Yes.
have previous. And a lot of it
Yeah.
is because of our technology, babe.
Yeah, I know. Thankful for technology.
Yeah.
Thankful there's a way to connect.
Yes.
We don't have to be disconnected through
That's
this
right.
time.
Absolutely.
So thankful.
Yeah, you betcha.
So glad you're joining us.
Yes, we are
this
so glad
morning.
you're. I noticed too, as we were getting ready, there were several vehicles in our church parking lot, and so we want to
Yay!
say welcome to Esfand
Yay!
Church of God. Those that are outside in our church parking lot, we
Yes.
just awesome, you guys.
That's so awesome.
That
Hope
is
you grabbed
so
a
cool.
coffee and
Yeah.
we're
Oh.
going to enjoy coffee with you.
Yeah, I hope you grabbed the coffee, and we got
Yeah.
coffee on the go. I got
Yeah.
my Tim Hortons coffee in here,
Got coffee.
and Helen's ready to go, and that kind of stuff. So we are excited to be here.
Yes.
It's fun to be a part of this internet experience, and it's
Yes.
fun to be part of the city. We've
Yeah.
often highlighted many times of the different people that are standing out, and
Yes.
this you can. Oh, the horns are going! Look at that, guys!
Yay!
Awesome!
I love you guys.
We love you guys.
That's
That's something we
awesome.
should advertise a little more. Sunday morning, if you want to come down to the church
You
and sit in the
bet.
parking lot and
Yeah.
participate in this, I think
Just
it could be a lot of
join
fun.
us. We love it.
We want to invite you next time. Next Sunday, come on
Makes our
down.
hearts happy.
Absolutely, because we
That's
miss
awesome.
we miss
We-
this formal gathering together
do.
Sunday morning and
We
have our
miss-
worship and stuff like that. And so
Yeah.
I want to invite you. Come on down
Yes.
to the Church of God, sit in the
Yeah.
parking lot, and watch us live stream Sunday
Yeah.
morning. That would be
That's
kind of cool.
awesome.
You betcha.
Okay.
All right, we've talked about a lot of interesting and really important topics.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
morning we want to talk about something that's probably most important, and
Yes.
we want to just again, our whole purpose for this kind of stuff
Yeah.
is, I have a few notes here written down. The whole purpose that we want to come into your homes this way
Yeah.
is we believe in connecting,
Yeah.
and while we connect, we want to speak life,
Yes.
and we want to bring hope.
Yes.
And I know there's a lot of
100%.
negativity out there and different
Yeah.
stuff, and people are facing different
Yeah.
things and
Yeah.
job losses and not knowing when the
Yes.
economy will get back
Yeah.
going. And so
Yeah.
we've decided that we, Helen
Yes.
and Geoff,
Yes.
want to be
Yeah.
a voice of
Yeah.
encouragement to you
Yes.
and bring life in
Yes.
oftentimes difficult circumstances.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
we just want you to know that we value, and you're important to us, and we want to be people that speak life
Yep.
and bring hope
Yeah.
in the midst of these
100%.
things.
Yep. That's it.
That's it.
For your note.
Absolutely. So
Cool.
we're going to talk about the greatest flipping story in history.
Yes. And because there's a greatest flipping story in history, we know that your story can be flipped.
Absolutely.
My story can be flipped.
Let's just talk about that a little bit to our listeners, because
Yes.
sometimes maybe there's a little confusion of what that is. What is it? What do we mean by flipping stories?
I'd say is, you know what, honey, I find it hard to explain, just to be honest here.
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind when we talk about flipping stories, it's really simple. Sometimes there's things in our life
Yes.
that have come against us, or circumstances that are not favorable to us.
There you go.
And
Yes.
we're going
Feels-
through some struggle and difficulty, and how we see the negative effects of that in our life. And when a story's flipped,
Yes.
it turns it upside down. So
Yes.
what was going to be negative
Yes.
in our life,
Yes.
that can flip, and God can turn that around
Yes.
to being something
Yes, He can.
positive. And
Yes,
and
He
when we
can.
talk about flipping stories, we're
Yeah.
talking about the aspect where when Jesus came, the world was in disarray.
Yeah.
It was in complete disarray. It was
Yes.
mixed up. There was a lot of things going on. There needed to be God showing up.
Yes.
And by him coming, he
Yeah.
flipped all of that stuff
Yes.
completely upside down.
Yeah.
and began to turn it around for
That's
our
right.
positive.
That's right.
And for our benefit and for our
Yes,
good. And
yes.
that's the whole message of Easter. The
Yes.
whole message of
Yes.
Easter is the idea that God takes our mess,
Yeah.
our difficulties, our
Yes.
struggle, our things
Yes.
that have been negative
Yes.
experiences,
Our failures, our brokenness,
our disappointments,
our disappointments,
our frustrations,
Yes.
our
Yeah.
hopelessness.
Yes.
And the Easter story has the ability
Yes.
to turn that upside down.
Yes.
And that's what makes God so unique, is he has the
Yes.
ability
Yeah.
to take those things
Yeah.
that were negative and discouragement and
Yes.
frustrative and hurtful, and turn those things around.
That's awesome.
And in a divine way begin to shape them
That's right.
into something that benefits us.
Yeah. Amazing.
And that's why we want to
That's
talk about the
amazing.
greatest story ever flipped, because
Yes.
Jesus Christ came. We celebrate Easter because
Yes.
he flipped the story.
Yes, he did.
He
Yes.
took the hopelessness that everybody faced
Yes.
and flipped it. He took
Yeah.
the separation from God and
Yeah.
restored our relationship with the Father, so that now
Yeah.
we could have the benefits again that we once had, that were lost, and he restored. So he flipped it.
Yeah.
What was meant to destroy us, he
Yeah.
flipped it, and
Yes.
all of a sudden now
Yeah.
it's to
Yeah.
our benefit. And
Yeah.
so we want to come into your homes this morning
Yes.
and give you that flipping story.
Yes.
That your life is not
Yes.
defined by your mistakes.
Yes.
Your life is not defined by the things that you've gone through.
Yes.
Your life is not defined
Yes.
by the
Yes.
things that you don't have control over.
Yeah.
But if you allow Jesus, because of the Easter story, he's able to
Amazing.
come in and
Amazing.
flip that for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
If we let him.
Yes. Because this Easter weekend walking through, Jesus it looked like the darkest thing. It looked like he had
Yes.
zero control. He had no say.
Yep,
He
that's
was
right.
going to his end. There was humiliation, accusation, rejection, betrayal. He faced everything.
And even
And it looked like his end.
and it was the beginning. That's why I don't think
amazing.
that's why it's important for our
Yes.
listeners to understand, and people watching us,
Yes.
that their story is not written.
Yes.
Your story
It
is not written.
Not the end.
It's not the end.
No.
And I want to encourage you, no
No.
matter what experience you face, no matter
Yes.
what difficulty you've gone through, no matter what
Yeah.
life-altering moments you have,
Yeah.
I want to tell you this morning,
Yeah.
God is able to flip it.
Yes.
He's able to turn it.
Yes.
And even though
Yeah.
we don't recognize the
Yes.
goodness of it,
Yeah.
something is going to blossom.
Yes.
It's interesting. I did a Facebook post yesterday, and it was just a statement that came to my mind was, if all we see is thorns,
Yeah.
we have to look up,
Yes.
because there's a rose attached to it.
Yes.
And sometimes
Yeah.
I think we can go through life and
Yeah.
we miss the roses
Yes.
because we're so inundated by the
Yes.
many thorns that we've seen.
Yeah.
Let's look up.
Yes.
There's a rose.
Yes.
Easter tells us
Yes.
to look up
Yes. It
because
does.
there's a rose.
I have this written down from
Cool.
yesterday too. It declares God takes all of our history, all of it, every failure, every broken fragment, every giant that stood before us, scoffing at us, and he will flip it
Yes.
in our favor. He will flip it to the good. How in the heaven does he do that?
I like that. How in the heaven?
How in the heaven does he do that? Because he takes death itself and he can bring new life.
Yes.
So where we feel like it's dead, there's nothing left, there's
Yes.
only ashes, he is going to bring beauty. That he is the greatest flipper.
I think that's something that we have to emphasize more and more, is because the
Yes.
reality of it is Jesus, his divine power, is
Yes.
able to take us wherever we are.
Yeah.
No matter what experience we have, and he's able to
Yes.
pick us out of those things. And I think I made a statement here a little while ago about David.
Yeah.
He said,
Yeah.
even though I walk through the darkest
Yes.
valley,
Yeah.
the darkest valley can be defined by so many things,
Yes.
experiences and stuff that's happened to us. He said, even though I walk through, I will not fear because you are with me. And then we
Yep.
talked about the God of peace and how he comes and
Wow.
brings that atmosphere. And so
Yeah.
Easter is that whole,
Yes. Yeah.
whole idea
Yeah.
of Jesus flipping our story.
Yes. God takes our end and he births a new beginning.
Yes, I love
That's
that.
what-
God takes our end.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like you're at the end?
Yeah.
We've
Yeah,
been there
we
many
have.
times.
We have
But
actually.
he has the
many times.
ability to take
Yes.
our end
Yeah.
and create a new beginning.
And if he can do it for us,
he can do it for you.
Yeah, and he will.
Absolutely. And he will.
Yes, he
I
will.
believe that with all
Yeah.
my heart. It's
Yeah.
interesting. We want to just talk a little bit of a John 10:10, because in
Yes.
it Jesus made a statement that he really summed up his purpose for coming.
Yeah.
The purpose of Easter, the purpose of this whole weekend
Yes.
celebration.
Yes.
And he sums up in a statement, but that statement is so huge. I want to pull out a few things.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Talking together with you, I want to pull out a few things that I think are important. And I want to read it for you because it's important for us to hear. These are the words of Jesus. He says this, a thief's purpose is to steal, kill, and destroy. So he's going to flip something here.
Yep.
He's giving an idea of what a thief does, or someone that is out to do harm.
Yeah.
Someone that doesn't have our best interest in mind.
And sometimes we felt those things. We felt
those
stolen,
things.
Destroyed, like done.
So he says in John
Yeah.
10:10, a thief's purpose is to steal, kill, and destroy.
Yeah.
But then he says, my purpose.
Yes.
See, he flipped it.
Yes.
My
Yes.
purpose.
Yeah.
My purpose
Yes.
is to give them life,
Wow.
a rich and satisfying life.
Yeah. And that's not just like existing, breathing life.
No.
No.
I wrote some
kind of
things
life.
down. When Jesus was making that statement, he was making a statement where you and I could have our life being fulfilled here and now.
Yes. Yeah.
He intended, when he made this statement, he was saying something that my whole reason for existence,
Yes.
my whole reason for coming,
Yes.
for whole reason to coming to earth was so that we could enjoy the life that he
That's right.
has given us
Yes.
to the full. And it's
Yes.
interesting, it says, a rich and satisfying life.
Yeah. Fully alive.
Fully alive.
Fully alive.
I love that.
Living life.
There's several points that I want us to talk about that I
Okay.
just highlighted because I think it's important of talking about this unique life, because I know many times we've experienced we're not satisfied. We're disappointed and
Yeah.
and we're
Yeah.
going through the rough stuff and
Yeah.
digging up stuff and that we
Yeah.
don't want to dig up, and
Yeah.
then we're reminded of things that we've done that we don't want to be reminded of, and
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
sometimes it's that struggle. So what kind of life
Yes.
are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Because he's not talking about removing our problems away.
Yeah. I know.
Because life is not like that. Life
Yeah,
is not about
sometimes.
removing of our problems.
Yeah.
It's about overcoming them and rising
Yes.
above them.
Yes.
When
not
they come.
allowing them to define you. I know you said that last time.
That's
not
important. No,
allowing them
not
to-
allowing them to define us.
No.
And so often
No.
the decisions we make and the
Yes.
mistakes we do, we allow to define us.
Yes.
And then we find ourselves being in a position
Yes.
where we're defending ourselves,
Yes.
and we're getting angry and we're getting frustrated because we're feeling bad about what we've done. And so
Yes.
our life's not defined by that. We talked about making adjustments. But
Yes.
what is about this statement that
Yeah.
his purpose,
Yes.
his whole reason was to come to give us
Yeah.
a heaven kind of life?
Yes.
And I wrote some things down that we can talk about. First of all, we need to understand this life this life that he's talking about in John 10:10
Yeah.
is so much more than favorable circumstances.
Yes.
Everything going in my favor, oftentimes people say that's the life. If everything was going in my favor,
Yeah.
that's the
no
life.
struggle.
No struggles,
No opposition.
just-
no
just-
stress.
No stress, and we just keep moving. That's the life. That's
Yes.
often how we define how we want our
Yes.
life. But
Yeah.
the life that he talks about here isn't that kind of life.
Yeah.
It isn't about
So that life is
Favorable
actually going to be essential for when we feel like everything around us isn't going our way.
That's right.
And when there's that giant in front of us hollering at us and saying, you can't do it.
Yeah.
This
or you
life-
just made too many mistakes.
Yep.
Or guess what? Now the
You're guilty.
circumstances are against your favor. You
Yeah.
have no hope. You
Yes.
just have to live with what you've
Yes.
done, or live with someone else has done.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I got another
Wow.
note here. It says, living full, this full life, in spite of the things not always in my favor.
Wow. Wow.
That's an awesome process to be in when you
Yes.
can live full
Yes.
in spite of
Yes.
things not favorable in my favor, in
Yes.
your favor, or in your favor.
Yes. So there's an aspect to this life I know that we've experienced.
And that's the life Jesus came to
Yes.
bring. That was his
Yes.
purpose.
Yes.
So why then so much time do we hear death from people that know this life? Why is
Yeah.
it always negative sometimes?
Yeah.
When Jesus came to bring good news, to
It's
restore
good news.
and to bring this
Yes.
life.
Yes.
There's no negativeness attached
No,
to it.
I wrote big letters here. Good news, good news, good news.
Yes, good
Jesus'
news.
purpose for coming. There is
Absolutely.
only good news. Yep.
God flips our story.
Yes.
God flips our story
Yes.
because of this life
Yes.
that can be alive in us. That's
Yes.
something
Yeah.
that's available to us. We can
Yes.
receive it from Jesus, this life, and
Yeah.
when that life enters,
Yes.
then we have flipping power.
Yes, we do.
We have flipping power.
Yes.
The circumstances flip. The negative
Yeah.
things in our life flip. The things we can't control flip.
Yeah.
Our attitude flips.
That's
Our
right.
choices can flip.
That's right.
The results of things
Yes.
can flip.
So let's say, like, when we're in
That's Easter.
utter chaos, peace can
Yes.
flip that.
Yes.
We can have joy.
When you don't have hope and,
Yes.
and you're over inundated by what's going on
Yeah.
around you, that life inside of us can
Yeah.
flip it, and all of a sudden we have hope in the
Yeah.
midst of
Yes.
hopelessness.
And you know what I'm reminded of in Ephesians 2, and there's just one verse that really hits inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
We were given the very life of Christ himself. So now that life that actually not even death could hold him, nothing could hold him back.
Yeah.
That life is in me.
Yes.
It is in you. We've been given the very same life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Having a full life in spite of the things not going in our favor, because God flips
Yes.
our story.
Yes.
What seemingly goes against us,
Yes.
when that life that he gives us is alive,
Yeah. Yep.
has the ability to flip them over.
Yep.
What they thought they put Jesus in the grave,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he waited 3 days, and then he
Yes.
flipped it.
Yes.
And he flipped
did.
it.
Yeah.
He rose from the dead,
Yeah.
conquering death.
Yes.
Now having authority
Yes.
in us, because
Yeah.
his life is alive in us.
Yes, it is.
When we receive
yes,
it.
it is. Yes, it is.
That same power.
Yeah.
So we talked about it's not so much our favorable circumstances,
Yeah.
because it's important to understand, I think, and I still struggle with this. This is still a battle of mine, because I seem to look at more negative than the positive stuff.
Yeah.
I seem the things that are going wrong rather than things that are going in my favor.
Yeah.
And I constantly have to battle in my mind about where I'm going to lean. We talked about a few weeks ago, or a couple days ago, about what we fill ourselves with is always going to be
Yes.
the outcome of what we see in our
Yes.
life. And so
Yeah.
I have to fill myself with not the thorns that I see,
Yes.
but the roses that are on top
Yeah.
of the tree, or the top of the branches.
Yes.
Because the roses are what's most valuable.
Yeah.
No one cuts
It's
off
life.
roses and throws them away and presents people with thorns.
Yes.
But the thorns are part of that process
Yes.
of that rose.
Come into
And so
life.
our
That's right.
circumstances don't have to be negative to our
Yes.
life. Because of Easter, because of the purpose of Jesus,
Yeah.
he flips that, and
Yes,
a
he does.
rose appears, if I can
Yes.
use that terminology.
Yep.
God flips our story.
Yes, he
You're not
does.
defined by your story that
That's
you're currently
right.
living in.
Yeah, because
you're
you
not
know what?
defined by that.
No, when Jesus went in the grave, you know what else went in the grave? Every failure, every broken, every part of our life, our history that we're
Yes.
like rather regret or shame,
Absolutely.
guilt, everything has been buried. And guess what? Now we've been made alive.
Yep.
We've been given the same new life. You are
Yep.
forgiven. You are free. Your history's been cleared
Yes.
because he's cleared it.
Yes.
He's
absolutely.
cleared it.
So we talked about the life is not about favorable circumstances.
Yeah.
It gives us life in spite of our circumstances.
Yeah.
The second thing about
Yeah.
him purpose to giving this life is
Yeah.
you mentioned a little bit, honey, and I'm glad you did, because it's important for us to talk about it, because that life carries his presence.
Yes, it does.
That life that he purposed to come,
Yeah.
carries his presence.
Yes.
So his presence can be alive
Yes.
in us.
In us.
Now, it's interesting because I
Yeah.
wrote a few notes down, because there's some trigger points here for me.
Is there?
Yes, there's some
Yep.
trigger points. First of all, we understand that his reality becomes my reality.
That's good.
His reality then becomes my reality.
Yes.
That's why
Yes.
it can always flip.
Yeah.
But so that always brings hope
Yeah, it does.
in no matter what situation.
Yes.
It always brings perspective
Yes.
in whatever we're around. And
Yeah.
this is where I think I break away from what I was taught growing up in church culture.
Yeah.
Because it was preached and hammered that that I was a sinner, that God's wrath was on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was an enemy of God.
Yeah.
And if I don't do what he said or what the church taught,
Yeah.
I was going to burn for it.
Yeah.
And so it created
Wow.
in me a sense that God was this angry man
Yeah.
or being
Yeah.
that would
Yeah.
follow me around to make sure I've been doing things right. If I don't, he would clobber me.
Yeah.
And so that created an uncertainty, a
Yes.
lack of trust to this. One hand, we were taught God was good and wonderful, and on the other hand, we were taught he's
Yeah.
angry and he's gonna wipe you out and he's gonna
Yeah.
throw you in hell
Yeah.
and all this kind of stuff. And so I got a really mixed understanding of
Yes.
of God because.
Yeah.
And then it drove me to performance, and it drove me to
Yeah.
have to comply to what people said was important. If I
Yes.
didn't, I was always in fear. I was always
Yes.
spoke down on, always felt inadequate. And so
Yes.
what that teaching did was put me in a driving mode
Yeah.
of always doing more and doing more and doing
Yeah.
more. And what
Trying
happens
to
when
be
we do
perfect.
more and more and more and we don't get the results? What happens?
You know what? We feel like an utter failure.
And we burn right out, and
Yep.
we give
Burn
up,
out.
throw up the towel,
Yep.
and say,
Yep.
it's it.
Done. Can't do it.
And it's amazing when
Yes.
we talk about the life,
Yes.
the purpose to bring life
Yes.
has none of those negative connotations to it, because Jesus
No.
came and restored what was
Yeah.
lost.
Yes.
He brought back into order what was in disorder.
Yes.
He brought forgiveness,
Yes, he did.
restoration.
Yes.
Now when he sees us,
Yeah.
he sees us as clean, as righteous because
Yeah.
of what he did for
Yeah.
us.
Yes.
And now I'm not this inadequate person.
Yes.
Now I'm fully adequate. God values me.
Yes.
God speaks
Yes.
life into me.
Yes, he
and
does.
he's for me.
Yes.
Never
what?
using
And he-
fear.
And he never wasn't.
No, he never
No,
was.
that is a wrong picture of who God is. Because when Jesus shows up, he says, if you've seen me, you've
seen the
him.
Father.
You've seen
that's
the
why-
Father.
that's
he
why-
says that we
Yes.
gotta look at Jesus.
That's why whenever I look at thinking like that,
Yes.
teaching like that,
Yeah.
I always put Jesus in the front because I don't
Yes.
see Jesus doing any of those
No,
things.
no. And so the Father was with Jesus saying, I'm paying. They were not separated. They were together. If you've seen me, this is the heart of the Father. He says, nope, I'm not having any enemies. Nope, I've made you my sons and daughters.
Yes.
Nope, I've canceled. I've cleared your history. That's the God.
Cleared our history. Oh, we got to
That's-
restart.
Yep, restart.
It's interesting. I put another note here because it's important to talk about this stuff because there's
Yeah.
a lot of misconceptions about
Yes.
church, religion, and we want to remove all that because it's not about
Yes.
church or religion. It's about relationship with Jesus
Yep.
and having his life alive in
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's not about rules. It's about
No.
relationship
Yep.
and empowering ourselves to be
Yes.
everything God created us to
Yes.
be. So I wrote down here, I said, Easter is Easter portrays the very opposite of often we've been taught.
Yeah.
Easter tells us, I'm loved, I'm
Yeah.
important, I'm forgiven, I
Yes.
matter, I've been
Yes.
given life.
Yes.
The Easter story has flipped our story.
Yes. That's awesome.
That's what makes
That's
this
awesome.
this weekend so unique
Yeah.
that we're celebrating is because
Yeah.
he flipped your story.
Yes, he did.
He
flipped
flipped
it.
your story.
He flipped it.
He flipped our
Yeah.
story.
When he said it is finished, it is finished for the end.
His presence
Yeah.
doesn't bring guilt.
No.
His presence
No.
doesn't bring inadequacies.
No.
Nor does it
No.
put us in a mode to have to fit into other people's ideals.
Yes.
His presence brings a completeness
That's awesome.
and a wholeness.
Yes. Yeah.
And when that is understood,
Yes.
his life comes alive in mine
Yeah.
and in yours.
Yes.
That's why I think
powerful.
Easter is
powerful.
the greatest flipping story
Yeah.
ever told.
Yes.
Because it's heaven's reality
Yes.
coming alive
Yes.
in me
Yes.
on the earth.
Woo! That's awesome.
It's incredible.
I can hardly stay on my chair.
It's incredible
Yeah.
to think
Yes. Yeah.
that's the message of Easter.
That is.
You're not forgotten.
No.
You're not left abandoned.
No.
You're not left to figure
No.
it out on your own.
No.
But that life that he's purposed to give us when we receive it.
Yeah.
Simple. We just receive it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the life I want.
Yeah.
Make it alive in me.
Yes.
And when revelation comes,
Yeah.
the reality comes with it.
Yes.
Again,
Yeah.
what we draw out of,
Yes.
we bear the fruit of.
Yes.
And so I
Yeah.
want to stay
Yeah.
connected, allow the message of Jesus, the
Yes.
truth of his word, the things he speaks over me,
Yes.
to overrule anything else, because
right.
then I'm not moved, then I'm not shaken,
Yeah.
then I feel complete. I have nothing to, my inadequacies are
Yeah.
gone.
They fall.
They fall by the
The
wayside.
guilt. Yep. Gone.
Jesus says,
Yeah.
my purpose
Yes.
is to give them a rich and satisfying life. I want to tell you folks that are
for
watching
you.
and listening,
for
that
you.
life is for you.
Yes.
That's the whole Easter. That's
Yes.
the flippin' greatest story
Yes, it is. Yeah.
that he wants to flip.
Yes.
He wants to flip it in your life.
Yeah. And he can flip it today.
Absolutely
It's a new
he
day.
can.
There's new life
Absolutely.
today. Yeah.
What's the third
Yeah.
thing that we can talk about? We're getting to the 25 mark and we want to bring this to a close because
Yeah.
we want to honor your time.
Yeah. You know what? You're putting me on the spot again.
Yep, I sure am.
You know what? Can I just say this? After Jesus rose, some of his disciples were hiding behind walls because
Yep.
they were still afraid.
Yes.
And guess what? Jesus walked through the wall, through their fears.
Yes.
And I just want to say, no matter what walls we put up of fear, of inadequacies, of our failure, whatever, Jesus wants to walk through the wall. And guess what he said? Peace.
That's right.
Life. Look at the finished product. It's all gone. He wants to walk through your walls today.
Absolutely.
He wants to walk through your walls.
Absolutely.
Present saying, I am with you. I am for you.
Yes.
I'm here to bring life.
I think the third thing is,
Yeah.
we'll leave it at this,
Okay.
is when his life, when you understand his purpose,
Yeah.
when you understand his purpose for coming to give us life,
Yeah.
that goes beyond our favorable circumstances, that carries his presence.
Yeah.
He wants to be present with us.
Yes, he does.
He wants to be present with us. The third thing is, and I think we've said this many, many times before, and I'm going to say it again, that life in us is transferable.
Yes, it is.
We not only
is.
can carry that presence,
Yes. Yeah.
but we can also distribute it as well.
Yes.
We can be atmosphere changers.
Yes.
We can take negative things and change them
Yes.
because of the life that's alive in us.
Yes. Powerful.
Powerful stuff.
Powerful.
Folks, we just want to say
Yes.
thank you again for joining us. If this has been a blessing
it.
to you, why don't you hit the subscribe on our YouTube channel and
Yeah.
our Facebook,
Yeah.
and hit the share button. We would love for you to take and share it with other people.
Yes.
So when this is over,
Yeah.
click the
Yeah.
share button on my Facebook page and share it to yours. We want people to experience what we're
Life.
experiencing here in
Yes.
life. And so
Yeah.
if you need any resources, anything you want to
Yes.
look at previous messages, programs,
Yeah.
all of it on estevancog.com or
Yeah.
YouTube. Just type in Estevan
Yes.
Church of God.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things there for you. Again, hit subscribe and tell
Yes.
other people
And-
about this stuff.
Yes. And if you have questions, if you want to say, hey, I need to talk, message.
Message
Go
us.
on our
Absolutely.
website. Give
One
us
of the
a
things that we
message.
talked about that we wanted to do is we want to have
Yeah.
a session, a Wednesday night session, maybe not this coming Wednesday, but the following Wednesday,
Yeah.
of answering
Yeah.
some of your questions, because I
Yes.
think it's fun to
Yes.
dialogue about it. We
Yeah.
may not have the
We're-
answer,
Yes.
but we can dialogue
Yes.
about it.
We want to journey with
We
you.
want to journey with you because
Yes.
we're in process, just like everyone else.
Yep.
So
Yep.
maybe in 2 weeks,
Yep.
we'll 2 week Wednesdays from now,
Yep.
we'll have a question and answer. So email our questions to
Thanks
you. That'd
for
be
the
awesome.
honking.
Thanks for
Thanks,
the honking out in the
guys.
parking
We
lot.
love you.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for
Yes.
letting us come in your home.
Yes. Happy Easter.
Happy
Have
Easter.
A great week.
Have a great week, and we'll see you
Yes.
Wednesday at
7:30.
7:30.
Wednesday, 7:30. See
All
you
right.
guys.
Bye-bye.